In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I created all of my music videos this year inside of Unreal Engine 5. Unreal Engine 5 is an open graphics game engine by Epic Games used to create photoreal visuals and immersive experiences. It's been used for major movie and game titles that you might recognize, including Mandalorian, Fortnite, Valorant, Star Wars, The Batman, just to name a few. So what would it look like if I created my next music video with this? And
is it possible for me to do this on my own?
Turns out, yes. This is open and free software, and with the right PC specs and a big enough imagination, literally anything that you can imagine is possible with UE5. It's a fantastic storytelling tool. The series of music videos that I created on my channel was so much fun creatively to run with, especially using 3D modeling for the first time, animating my own characters for the first time, and giving my audience an excuse to kind of jump into these worlds around my music. The 4 music videos I created for my new EP, The Monsterverse, are already up on my channel. I'll leave a link in the description below. This really allowed me to run creatively with all the ideas that I had and allowed me to just project those ideas from my mind onto the screen in front of me. I really had no experience with using Unreal before this project, so hopefully that goes to show just how, easy that learning curve can be if you've got the time to invest in learning the software and navigating around it. So in this video, we're going to briefly touch on the creative process of how I created the characters, animated the characters, and used Unreal Engine to create all of the worlds that you see in those videos. The very first video took the longest amount of time, 2 weeks, and then as I progressed, the last video actually only took me 1 day. So the learning curve kind of smoothed out towards the end. Hopefully you take away some useful insights that you can use for your own videos in the future, so let's jump in. First step was mapping out the story. I knew I wanted the listener or the viewer of the music video to be cast as the main character in my story. So I knew that most of my shots throughout the video should be in a first-person point of view to illustrate that, with some of the shots stitched in to showcase the environment. The whole overarching theme of the EP, lyrically and the meaning behind the music, was about facing your inner demons and coming out on the other side unscathed. Naturally, my imagination started running with this supernatural idea because we're using Unreal Engine 5, anything's possible, right? Why not go supernatural? I started using references of TV shows that I loved growing up and still love now, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Charmed, Angel, even games that I used to play like Tomb Raider. And this supernatural idea just grew and grew into the Monsterverse. So the premise of the story naturally became this. The main character, that's you're an explorer. You're a part of this group called the Monster Watch. They figured out how to survive in this post-apocalyptic world that's been overrun by monsters that are flooding in from new dimensions. I really like the idea of visually playing around with that metaphor of your inner demons and dealing with those, but kind of bringing those to life. As a member of the Monster Watch, your job is to jump through portals, explore new dimensions, collect crystals, and return alive. These crystals power up the portals, and you get them from the monsters themselves. Throughout the entire story, all you're trying to do is just survive, and at the very end, then maybe, hopefully, you find a way out of the Monsterverse. Using the imagery and the lyrics of the songs that I'd already written for this project was a great place to start when it came to designing the characters, the camera movements in the scenes, and also even the lighting of those environments that I ended up building. So I started hashing out some first storyboard slides inside of Photoshop. One method I used that really helped me to translate my storyboard ideas into the 3D environments using Unreal Engine was this. Using a bird's eye view sketch, I'd plot out the route the main character's virtual camera would take through the map during the video. This gave the video a more authentic flow with that first-person experience in mind and brought about plenty of continuity of the landscape around the character. It helped me loosely plot out events at key destinations on the map that I thought would work best visually, and allowed me to pre-plan impact points within the song, so the action you'd see on the screen would dynamically match the momentum of the music throughout. If you want to watch the videos in sequential order, I'll leave the episodes below. Have a watch and let me know what you think. Storyboarding when it comes to music videos, for me, I've always done it, whether I'm in the music video or not in this case, so you can roll up and get the exact shots that you need. In this instance, I had a little bit of leeway because everything was virtually produced, and by default, easier to edit. I started treating the music videos almost like episodes, so whatever happened at the very end of the first would effectively be where you start in the second. Creating the monsters in Blender was a lot of fun. I knew I wanted the monster characters to be different in stature and size, but still have a kind of collective look that made you understand that they were of the same monster species, if that makes any sense. So the vision I had for them were kind of like shadow creatures with big glowing eyes. So the final design material I landed on was a kind of dark material, but with an ominous glowing blue or red or yellow eye, depending on which world the character was in. So inside of Blender, first I'd build the foundation of the body shape. Then I'd sculpt any of the details, for example, the spikes on their back or the shape of this one's head. Then I'd attach an armature to the model, rig it, ensure everything's parented properly, and then once that's done, export the FBX file into Unreal Engine. To motion capture this guy, I used the Rokoko Smartsuit Pro. I bought this just before lockdown for other projects. It's a made-to-measure suit, it's comfortable and allows me to animate in a pretty fluid way. I also have the Rokoko Smart Gloves to capture any hand motion of the characters. These come separate from the suit itself, but I highly recommend getting these, especially if you're animating characters with all the fingers and the knuckles and things that you need to move, you know? The monster creatures I created did not have a mouth, so face capture wasn't necessarily something I needed for this project, but I recommend you check out Rokoko's face tracking system too. It's definitely an option that's out there. Rokoko have got it down when it comes to like accessible equipment in this space, so if you're not aware of Rokoko, maybe go check them out. The mocap suit I have from them is the Smartsuit Pro. Since then, they've actually released an updated one, so maybe check that one out as well. I'm not sponsored by Rokoko, just a fan of what they do. I experimented with another project of mine a couple of years ago called Nova J. She was a virtual avatar we started experimenting with on the day that metahumans became available, hence why I first bought this Rokoko suit. With the intricacies of animating facial movements and tracking and hair physics, I just knew I wouldn't have enough time to put the main character in front of the camera. So that's another reason why the first person point of view was a great workaround for these videos that I created for the Monsterverse. For the environments for the videos, I knew exactly in my mind's eye what I wanted for each, and I found some really great assets on the Unreal Marketplace that helped bring everything to life. The motel and safe house scene were bought on the Unreal Marketplace. The safe house scene is kind of like the character's home base where they return to after a successful mission. The motel scene is within the first world that the character portals into in the Monsters music video. In the second video, those of you guys who are into your liminal spaces and your creepypastas will recognize the back room. All the assets were manually built for the Backrooms music video for anyone else. So if you're a creepypasta fan, go check it out. It was really fun to mesh those two worlds of the Backrooms and the Monsterverse. Let me know what you think. I'd highly recommend looking around the Unreal Marketplace to kind of find any assets that might enhance what you're already working on. They've got a bunch of free assets on there too. So once I had the assets that I needed, then it was about controlling the tone of that environment to match with my storyboard. So the lighting, the lamppost flickering, the camera movements, dispersion of the fog and the scene, so many things to think about. Every scene you see has been rendered out from the point of view of a virtual camera placed inside a 3D space. So while you're animating your cameras around this 3D space, at the same time you're animating your camera to move as well. This is where storyboarding in the early stages became really useful for me. It allowed me to render out exactly what shots I needed in a certain level sequence, all in order so I didn't miss a beat, and I had exactly the shots that I wanted. Once I was happy with a scene, I would render it out inside of Unreal Engine 5. One thing to bear in mind is the high processing that your poor PC will go through if you're rendering inside of something like Unreal Engine is gonna really push your PC to its limits. It takes a lot of processing power and a lot of time to render out the shots that you want. For reference for you, I'll leave my PC specs in the description below so you can see what I was running with. When everything was rendered out, it was time to sequence everything inside of DaVinci Resolve, throw on some final color grades, and enjoy the final result. It's really opened my eyes to the possibilities of using something like this to create unique visuals of exactly what I want to pair with my music. I feel like virtual production is a really powerful medium for telling the story behind our music. That's definitely the experience that I've had with this process anyway. Getting to grips with something like Unreal Engine or Blender isn't for everybody, but if you're creative, you're used to video editing yourself, and you've got a general interest in this kind of space of virtual production, I would say jump into it today. Not to mention the ocean of people who are already proficient in this kind of thing that are out there to be hired for projects like this. So please go and check out the Monsterverse music videos. Go check out the entire EP. Let me know on each of those videos what you thought of the character design, of the lighting, of everything. I would love to know your thoughts. And hey, if you enjoyed the Monsterverse EP and the music videos, go check out the new merch bundle that's live on the store right now. It's called the Survival Kit. It comes with a copy of the EP itself, physical form, in a survival kit metal tin, a Monster Watch tee, a beanie, a notebook, and a bunch of other things, so go check that out. The reason I wanted to share this with you today is because I love the power that this puts in the creator's hands. There is still a mountain of things for me to learn inside of Unreal Engine and Blender. I'm coming at it from a very grassroots approach, but hopefully I've shown you exactly what's possible if you let your imagination run wild. If you're out there and you've created something inside of Unreal Engine 5, especially if you've created a music video, I want to see it. Please leave a comment below.